Black True Crime is a podcast that researches and discusses murders committed by Black offenders. It is a podcast that everyone and anyone is welcome to enjoy, but it's also a podcast that may not be welcomed by anyone and everyone. So listener discretion is advised. Now, without further ado, this is Black True Crime.
Into that good night.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm sorry. Kristin is looking like she got the Toni Braxton hat on. Period.
Just call me Nancy who?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kristin, your co-host.
And today is episode for Kristin. Is it Kristin episode?
Today is a case by Kristin.
There we go. She is so cute. I'm distracted. Sorry.
Y'all should have seen what Kayla had on before she changed her look.
I had this around my head like I was from the 50s.
She literally looked like Gone Girl. She literally looked like Mademoiselle Marilyn Monroe when she was going out with a cigarette in her hand and her shades on and the scarf around her. All of that. We loved it.
Well, I'm a little high today, and I am very excited to hear the case that Kristin has prepared for us. And I'm also very excited for you guys to hear the incredible announcement that we have for you guys later in the episode.
Period.
Super exciting. So,
should we make a notice about this damn beep in the back?
Okay, so if you hear a beepity beep 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 in the back, back, it's because there's a fire alarm in the room where I record that is popping off, and I can't get my black ass up there to fix it. So I have to wait until my man comes home to fix it. So please ignore it. There's nothing I can do about it.
This is what happens when people, specifically melanated people, forget to change the batteries in their fire alarms. I know you've done it once or twice, so.
Who even thinks about that? Who even thinks about it?
Proactive people. Okay. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's get started. A slew of murders and robberies were left behind the psychologically inept murderer in the Miami Dade area. What once was a boy who dealt with poverty, abuse, and mental issues soon grew up to be a violent, sadistic rapist and killer who calls himself the Prince of God. Join us as we discuss the insane killing spree of John Errol Ferguson.
Holy moly.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
I know.
Kristin, that was... Okay, well, I'm here for it.
You've enticed by Kristin days.
You've enticed me.
Did I pull you in?
You did.
Okay, come along. Because it's not a fun story.
Okay, shit.
Damn beep.
Let it go.
I'm trying, Kayla. John Ferguson was recorded to have been born on either February 24th, 1948 or February 27th, 1948.
Oh.
Kayla has, which is fine. I gave you one date because I didn't know that information when I gave you the date.
Mm-hmm.
So, why don't you go ahead and tell us what happened on one of these days?
In Black history?
In Black history.
Okay. So I decided to just do what was happening in the year at the time. And on July 26th, President Harry Truman issued an executive order desegregating the armed forces.
Oh, wow.
So meaning that, we could fight side by side for our country, which is cool. I didn't want to go into detail because he's not Black. So August 7th, Alice Coachman Davis wins the high jump at the Olympics in London, and she becomes the first Black woman to win an Olympic gold medal.
Period. In 1948, wow.
I know, right? I don't know how long the Olympics have been around, but still, first Black woman, good for her.
Good girl. Good
On
woman.
October 1st, Perez v. Sharp the Supreme Court of California finds the law banning interracial marriages violates the 14th Amendment. So,
Period.
Yeah, abolished.
That was really awesome. That wasn't even 100 years ago, y'all.
Yeah. So,
Like, that's insane.
Yay, love is love.
Mm.
Marry who you want.
Thank you,
And
sis.
one more. E. Franklin Frazier becomes the first Black president of the American Sociological Society.
Wow.
Whatever the fuck that is. And that's all I have for you guys today.
Thank you so much.
You're
Love
so
that.
welcome. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, back to the case.
Okay.
Growing up, John was raised in extreme poverty, where at times his household did not have running water or electricity. John lived with his mother and his father until age 13. His father experienced alcohol abuse, and unfortunately, when John was 13, he passed away. From then on...
From like
Right.
the alcohol abuse?
Well, we can assume that, but it didn't tell us specifically.
You don't know? Okay.
From then on, John's mom would date men who were abusive to the both of them. John claims that he was repeatedly diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia during this time and was often placed in mental hospitals.
Wow. From 13?
Like during his childhood, he said that he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and he was in mental hospitals.
Wow, that sucks.
Right. So we don't know at what point, what age, but I do have one thing for you. Specifically in 1969, when John was 21, he was arrested for robbery. And during that arrest, actually, he was arrested for a bunch of robberies. During that arrest, John stole a deputy's gun. It was recorded that John was about to shoot at the deputy when the deputy pulled out another gun that he had in his boot and shot John 4 times.
Jeez.
One of these bullets actually pierced John Ferguson's head. Right. He clearly survived because we're talking about him.
Doggone it. Not doggone it that he survived, but like doggone it. He got shot in the head.
Got shot in the head.
Yeah. Well, he put himself in that situation. You don't steal a gun, sir.
But like, it's also not common to get shot in the head and survive. So I'm also like, wow.
Yeah.
He clearly survived, but was said to have never been the same. From there, his life trajectory was on a fast slope to hell. Kidding.
Damn.
I had to put that in there because I know
really
what this man has done. But just kidding. I don't have a heaven or hell to put him in. But at the same time, that's how I felt at the time I wrote this. Okay. So in 1975, this is 6 years after John was arrested for robbery. And he was actually arrested for 6 robberies and 2 assault charges. Ferguson was diagnosed as homicidal and dangerous by court psychiatrists. Yet he was still acquitted of the 6 robberies and the 2 assault charges on a plea of insanity.
Are you fucking joking? I'm like, I'm turning my head to the camera so I make sure I fucking hear you right.
Yeah. So John at this time was what? 21 plus 6. He was 27 years old. He had committed 6 robberies and 2 assaults and got acquitted of it all based off of a plea of insanity. So clearly they thought he was nuts.
I mean, it was probably, geez Louise, either he had an extensive history that they had on documentation and was able to prove, or he had a banging ass lawyer, or both.
Right. And like, why would John have a banging ass lawyer? Like, who is John to pay for this type of lawyer? So I really do feel like what we mentioned earlier about him being in mental hospitals probably was like setting the scene for him to be psychiatrically diagnosed as homicidal and dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the psychiatrists said he was dangerous to himself and others, homicidal, and should not be released under any circumstances. He was sent to the Florida Mental Hospital, which then he later escaped.
What? Wait a minute. Why? Okay. So he has a mental disorder, but is highly functioning.
So basically, yes, like this man is, what did they say? He is dangerous. He is homicidal. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia at a young age.
Yeah.
One of the psychiatrists specifically said, do not let him out under any circumstances. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And technically they didn't let him out. He escaped.
No, he escaped. Wow. He's bad mama jamma.
Just insane. Okay. So this is the background of John Ferguson. Now we get to his most horrific crimes. The next time John Ferguson rears his ugly head was on July 27th, 1977. Or at least that's what we know, because it was also said that in May of that same year, John may have had something to do with a St. Petersburg crime, where an elderly couple was found bound, brutally beaten, and shot, execution style. They were actually in town to go to a funeral of a person they knew, and they never made it home. However, he was never charged for that crime. Now, on July 27th of 1977, in the evening time, John Ferguson, posing as a Florida Power and Light employee, walked up to a Carroll City home and knocked on the door. Thank you. Margaret Wooden answered the door. For whatever reason Ferguson gave her, she proceeded to allow Ferguson to enter the home. She probably thought like, oh, he's coming to check like something in the neighborhood, shut down something. So he's probably coming to check if it was our house, whatever. After checking several rooms, John drew a gun on Margaret and tied and blindfolded her. He then went to let 2 additional men into the home to help him look for drugs and money. I'm confused because I'm like, why would you assume drugs are in this house? Maybe they were staking that house out, but it specifically said in every article that they were looking for drugs and money.
Do we have a picture of Margaret?
We don't have a picture of Margaret.
Oh.
I scoured the internet.
I believe it.
Like databases, findagrave.com, and could not find her.
And this is according to John, that he went in there looking for drugs and money?
This is according to articles that said John, in every single one of them, John was in there looking for drugs and money.
Okay.
We don't even know if John is a drug addict. Nothing was written about him being an addict. I didn't look up his accomplices' background information. Maybe they were addicts.
Yeah.
But this is what was said. The names of these men were Marvin Francois and Buford White.
What?
At the time, they did have a getaway driver. His name was like Adolphus something. I don't even remember what his full name was. Why was that hilarious? It said a doofus.
Because it was spot on.
Kayla, don't come on here high no more. I can't play with you.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
I can't deal with you. His name was Adolphus Archie. He was actually the getaway driver, so he stayed outside. So Adolphus is outside in the getaway car. Marvin Francois, Buford White, and John Ferguson are inside the house. And Margaret is at this point tied and bound. About 2 hours later, 6 of Margaret's friends, including the homeowner, Livingston Stalker, entered the house and were immediately searched, tied, and blindfolded by Ferguson and his accomplices.
Good Lord.
Not long after, Michael Miller, Margaret Wooden's boyfriend, enters the house as well, and he was also searched, bound, and blindfolded. Michael and Margaret were placed in the bedroom, while the other 6 men were placed in the living room. This placement of people made me wonder, because I was like, what movie did they see, or maybe they've done this before, that made them separate Margaret and Michael in the bedroom, and then the 6 men in the living room?
Probably because they wanted to do some things to the women, and they maybe didn't want the men around. Also, the men can overpower them, so they probably wanted to make sure that they were even, in the most vulnerable position they could be in.
I completely agree, sis. I thought because Michael came in last, so what if they already had Margaret in the room, in the bedroom? And then when Michael came in, it was like, well, we don't want to put him with the other 7 men.
Right.
Because then, the other 6 men, because then it'll be 7 and maybe they'll gang up on us. So he threw them in the bedroom. But listen to this.
Okay.
At some point, one of Ferguson's accomplices' mask had fell off of his face, revealing his identity.
Uh-oh.
Bound and on her knees next to her boyfriend, Margaret Wooten said she heard 6 shots coming from the other room. She then saw a pillow coming towards her, and then she was shot in the head. But still alive, she witnessed Michael Miller, her boyfriend, being fatally shot in the head.
Oh my God. Kristin, what did you just say out of your mouth?
A lot.
It cannot be true.
Yeah. Margaret Wooten was shot in the head, just like John, but Margaret was shot point blank with the pillow separating her and the gun, and she survived.
Holy moly. This must have been like a pea shooter.
This must have been like, I don't know where her head is between this pillow, so I'm just aiming.
This pillow was brick. They just got it wrong. It was autocorrect because how in the hell? Oh, thank God she survived.
So she survived, but unfortunately she had to see and witness her own boyfriend being shot in the head. And unfortunately he did not survive.
Oh. And the 6 other people died too?
Just wait. We're getting there.
Gosh. Kristin, hurry up.
So Margaret did not see the shooter, though she heard Ferguson run out of the room. That made me think, how does she know it was Ferguson running out of the room? Like, did he say something that she recognized his voice? I don't know. She managed to escape and ran to a neighbor's house where they called the police. When the police arrived, they found 6 dead bodies.
Oh.
Go ahead.
My gosh. Oh, my word.
All bound with gunshot wounds to the back of the head. Only 2 victims survived, and that was Margaret Wooten and Johnny Hall. Now, Johnny Hall was in the other room with the other 6 men. I don't know how he survived. Maybe they, just had horrible aim. And it was so rushed because it seemed like he didn't expect his mask to fall off. So when he did, he just started shooting.
So the accomplice shot everyone. Because you said the accomplice is the one that had his mask fall off.
Exactly.
Okay, wow. So John didn't shoot them.
But we don't know if it was Marvin Francois and Buford White, or if it was just Marvin, or if it was just Buford.
Okay.
But John Ferguson was basically the initiator of this robbery because he let them in the door.
Right.
And then he proceeded to shoot Margaret Wooten in the head, and he proceeded to shoot Michael Miller in the head. So only 2 victims survived, Margaret Wooten and Johnny Hall. Both testified at the later court date. On September 15th, 1977, this is months later, Ferguson would be indicted on 6 counts of first-degree murder and a slew of other charges. This would not stop him from committing another horrific crime.
Well, hold on.
In fact, multiple.
Kristin, okay, hold on. Okay.
And the funny thing is, you're getting all of this right. Your response was my exact response when I was reading this.
Okay. So this man has escaped from prison. I mean, the mental hospital. Okay.
Yeah.
Living life, has not been apprehended.
Nope.
And he is killing people, then gets indicted, basically, and is still out somehow, and then goes on to kill?
That's exactly correct.
Kristin, how is this? What year is this? Who is he paying? Okay.
This man
Kristin, this
was able to not be arrested even though he was indicted, Even at his indictment of the 6 counts of first-degree murder and other charges, he was not in arrest. He was not incarcerated. He was not in prison or in jail. He was out in the streets. Tell me, how does that make sense at all? Is he a slithery snake? Like, how are we missing where this man is at? How are we not catching him?
I have so many questions.
It just doesn't make sense.
I can't even deal.
So, bear with me because we're not done.
Okay, well, what the fuck?
It's a hot mess.
Rest in peace to those victims. That was disgusting. We have no images of them, which is almost as equally horrible because they should be recognized, some way.
Period.
But rest in peace to them.
I do have some information, although I was not able to find any pictures of the victims in this specific Carroll City murder. But I was able to figure out that most of them were in their 30s. The only one that was not was a younger fella. He was 26 years old. They were all good friends. They were just coming in from hanging out. And boom, this is what happened.
Wow.
So rest in peace to every single victim, including Margaret Wooten and Johnny Hall, who are survivors, but still experienced traumatic, events or a traumatic whatever because of this.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Period. And shout out that they testified at the court. Okay. Now it is October 30th. We are still in 1977.
Okay.
So even though Ferguson was indicted on 6 counts of first-degree murder in September, he is still out and roaming around in the public. On October 30th.
I'm not okay with that.
Who is okay with that? Like, at this point, everything after this is honestly the police's fault, because it's like, how are we not finding this man?
I would have done a citizen's arrest.
Like, and I hear so many stories about you saying, okay, manhunt. Like, now people are really trying to find them, but there's a whole case proceeding, and the man who is on trial is not even there. What sense does that make?
He's a fugitive, Kristin. He's a fugitive.
So yeah, this fugitive on October 30th approached the car of 2 teenagers to attempt to rob them. When the 2 refused to unlock the car door, John shot through the glass windows and wounded both teenagers. Fortunately, they were able to drive away wounded but alive.
Thank the Lord.
Right. He would later be convicted of attempted murder and robbery regarding this tragic incident. The next day, he raped a woman.
What? Kristin, is he
a phantom in the night?
I am like, does he have a suit that makes him invisible? What is the fuck is going on?
Does he have an invisible cape?
I mean, I'm looking at him. I'm like, he does look intimidating. Like, oh, I don't really want to fuck with him at all in the slightest. Also, what is this head shape? It's like dissolved over the years. I don't know what's going on, but I wouldn't want to approach him. But at the same time, it's like, you're the police.
It's just very frustrating because it's like, during this time, Francois and Beaufort White and Adolphus are both in trial. So they are arrested.
Okay.
They are undergoing trial as we speak.
Okay.
Somehow, old boy is still out here. So I'm trying to see, did they not rat on him? Did they not show them what a picture of him looks like so they can, proceed? But they have his name. John Ferguson is indicted. So I just don't understand.
Yeah. I Shoo, this is like some Houdini shit. I really don't know what's going on.
It almost made me feel like I had something wrong. Like I was reading the articles wrong and I had to go back and continue to read all of them. And then I read an affidavit, the whole thing through, because I was like, this does not make any sense. Dates, I'm lining up timelines, and this is what's happening.
Wow. Justice system fail.
Big time.
Exhibit 9,073,024.
Period. 3 months later, on Sunday, January 8th, 1978, Brian Glenfeld and Belinda Worley were leaving a Youth for Christ meeting around 9 p.m. that night in Hialeah, Florida. I could totally be saying that wrong.
Hialeah.
Hialeah.
Mm-hmm.
How you
It's
know?
near Miami. It's near Miami. I learned it
know?
from Love and Hip Hop. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Love and Hip Hop. Hialeah was only 22 minutes from Carroll City, where the other murders took place.
Mm.
The two 17-year-olds were headed to an ice cream parlor to meet up with their friends after this Youth for Christ meeting. Unfortunately, they would never make it there.
Ugh.
By the next morning, two people passing by spotted their bodies in a wooded area. Brian's body was found behind the wheel of a car. He was shot in the chest, arm, and fatally in the head.
Oh.
While Belinda's remains were found several hundred yards away in a densely wooded area. Belinda only had on a pair of jeans, while the rest of her clothes were sprawled out next to her body.
Oh my Lord.
She had a bullet wound to the back of the head.
Jeez. Who the Kristin?
Like, execution style, period. This is all I know is to shoot people in the back of the head.
What's up with him? Like, you would think that since he was shot in the head, he wouldn't want to do it to other people.
Oh, the irony, sis.
Oh, on the contrary.
Mind you, I said it in the beginning of the case. He called himself the Prince of God.
Yes.
So as we wonder why he was able to evade the cops, he is out while his case is being indicted. He's being indicted for all of these murders. He's still out in the public, and he calls himself the Prince of God. So it just makes me feel like, I know God wasn't helping him, but maybe he had like some evil spirits on his side that were just helping him evade. Or maybe not. But you know me, I'm spiritual, so I'm going to put that in there.
I don't know what's going on. I can't even think of a theory that makes sense as to why he was able to evade police for so long and escape a mental hospital and to have no repercussion. I'm just horribly confused. He is a definition of your name is in circles that you haven't stepped in yet. That is this man.
How is he not on the FBI Most Wanted? He literally was present where 6, like maybe they didn't like care about finding him so much because he didn't kill the 6 other. No, doesn't even matter because they indicted him on the 6 murders.
Exactly.
How is he not on the FBI's Most Wanted? I don't know.
At this point, he's already shot 12 people, or he's been a part of the shootings of 12 people, and he himself has shot 6.
Absolutely.
Thank you for awful. Ridiculous. I was not expecting all this at all.
I told you this case had so much info. It was disgusting.
You didn't warn me enough at the top. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it real with you. Are you guys hanging in there? Because I'm struggling.
Sorry, y'all. It's my second case. I'll try to warn you next time in the beginning.
She's throwing us to the wolves.
With stake attached to your necks. So, an autopsy revealed that Belinda had been raped. Later on at the trial, Brian's dad would testify that he saw Belinda wearing 2 rings, a gold bracelet, and a pair of earrings, and that Brian had some cash in his wallet the previous evening at the Youth for Christ meeting.
Okay.
But none of these items were at the scene. The only things that was Belinda's ransacked purse and Brian's empty wallet found in her purse.
Wow. So they were robbed.
They were robbed and killed.
Yes.
And raped.
Oh, this is heavy shit.
It is. Rest in peace, Belinda and Brian.
Rest in peace, you guys.
On April 5th, 1978, John Ferguson was arrested at his apartment due to a warrant for unlawful flight to avoid persecution.
Oh, on a warrant of trying to flee. So you arrest him at his apartment, meaning we probably had this address the whole time, meaning as soon as his dumbass escaped from the mental hospital, we could have had his ass with a toe tag in a body bag. But now we waited this damn long.
And then they didn't even tell us, like, where his apartment was. Like, if it's an unlawful flight, so was he in another state? Like, hello, where is this information?
Something's smelling
very, very stinky.
Not good.
No.
Rank.
So, April 5th, 1978, right? At the time, John was under indictment. Indictment means charged with a serious crime for the Carroll City murders. John was read his Miranda rights at his apartment. He signed a consent to search form, and so did his roommate at the time. During the arrest, officers found probable evidence, a .35 Magnum capable of firing .38 caliber bullets, like the ones used to murder Belinda and Brian.
Wow.
This gun was registered to Livingston Stalker, which was the homeowner of the home that got raided in the Carroll City murders.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. You're
so
going
that's
down.
linking him. That's linking him to two crimes, exactly.
Yeah.
At the time of his arrest, John even confessed to killing the two kids, which meant Brian and Belinda.
Right.
So now we are at the Circuit Court for the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida, where the Carroll City trial is being tried. It is now September 15th, 1977. This is back when John should have been up in the courts getting tried. Meanwhile, he's still out and about.
Ridiculous.
John Ferguson was indicted on 6 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 3 counts of armed robbery.
So he going down the road to
Damascus.
never come back again.
To Nineveh. Like he's going...
To Nineveh.
Yeah. Despite this Carroll City rap sheet, Ferguson was not incarcerated at this time. He would later be incarcerated for his involvement in the murders of Brian Glenfelt and Belinda Worley.
Okay.
Just for some pretext, both cases were tried in the same circuit court, and they both were presided over by the same judge.
Okay, so someone that is familiar with the stuff that John has done and won't be lenient with his ass.
Right. And I think it could also because, I don't know if this is the reason, but it kind of makes sense because the same murder weapon that they found in relation to a warrant for the Carroll City murders was also used in the Hialeah murders.
I don't know how they choose which judge does what. I think it's literally just one judge takes care of all the cases that go through that court. Okay. That's how I think it is. So.
Which makes
but who knows?
A lot of sense. Okay. John Ferguson was tried alone. Unlike his partners in crime, Marvin Francois and Burford White, they were tried as co-defendants.
Okay. Probably because they had evidence that they killed the 6, men, and John did all the other stuff. He was just an accomplice, I guess, to the 6. Even though he wasn't charged as an accomplice.
Right.
And they couldn't try them.
Know.
They couldn't try them all together because John killed the teenagers, and he did all that stuff on his own with the same weapon. Yeah, but that was
a separate case.
That's what I said. They couldn't try him together with the other 2 because the other 2 were only tried for what happened at the Carroll City murders. Is that what it's called? Carroll City murders. Yeah.
Okay. During the trial, Margaret Wooten, one of the survivors, actually took the stand and testified to hearing 6 shots coming from the other room and then being shot in the head herself. But still alive, she saw her boyfriend being shot in the head fatally.
So basically, you have a eyewitness. She survived. There's no getting out of it.
And even though she didn't see... Right. Even though she didn't see who shot her, she said that she knew it was Ferguson who was running out of the room.
Which I feel like his defense team could easily be like, get that the fuck out of here. But hey, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Maybe she heard his voice and they made her, made him speak and she knew it.
Yeah. Maybe she remembers who brought her into the room.
Exactly. May 25th, 1978. Ferguson was convicted of all counts except one armed robbery charge.
Wow.
After an advisory sentencing hearing, the jury recommended death, and the judge accepted it. And he sentenced John to 6 death sentences, 2 consecutive 30-year terms of imprisonment for the attempted murders of Margaret Wooten and Johnny Hall, and 3 life imprisonment sentences for the robberies of 3 of the Carroll City victims.
Okay. Okay. So that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time.
He's never getting out.
Like, geez Louise, that is a lot of time. He's... Whew.
I was kind of shocked that he got sentenced to 6 death sentences for murders that wasn't even by his own hand.
Well, if you're associated, I mean, those murders wouldn't have happened if he didn't set it up. So, you know, it's just he's the mastermind of what happened.
Yeah, and it seems like that's how they treated him. So that was the first trial. That was the Carroll City murder trials. John is now convicted of 6 death sentences and a whole slew of other things.
Right.
Now it's time for his second trial to discuss Brian and Belinda Worley murders.
That he confessed to.
Exactly. At the Hialeah trial on April 13th, 1978, John was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder: armed sexual battery, armed robbery, unlawful possession of a firearm while engaged in a criminal offense, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Wow. The prosecution also presented the gun found in Ferguson's home as evidence that he was at the scene when Belinda and Brian were killed. Because they're saying that gun was used to kill them because of the .38 Magnum.
Right.
Bullets.
I don't know if they were able to do the type of
hopefully
testing that they're able to do now back in 1978. So,
and that actually wasn't mentioned in any of the articles or the affidavit.
So it probably wasn't something they used.
Ferguson's lawyers did not dispute this, but however mounted an insanity defense, claiming that John Ferguson was a paranoid schizophrenic and experienced over 40 years of mental illness issues and effects from them.
Wow.
State psychiatrists and medical professionals would support this claim.
Which it's like, duh. We know he escaped from a mental hospital.
Yeah.
They're probably like, okay, you escaped from a mental hospital, but you're fine. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
And you were able to evade the police during the first trial. You're good.
You're fine. This insanity plea isn't going to work this time, sir.
Nonetheless, 6 months later, the jury returned guilty verdicts on all counts of the indictment.
Oh my effing word.
However, the armed robbery count was reduced to attempted armed robbery by the jury, which is stupid because he stole the actual stuff. But
whatever, he murdered 2 people.
And I guess because they didn't find the actual jewelry and the money on him throughout the search, they were like, okay, attempted robbery. But yeah, he murdered them.
This is insane.
The jury recommended death sentences by a majority vote, and the judge upheld the recommendation and sentenced John to 2 death sentences, 2 life terms, and 4 15-year terms of imprisonment for the armed robbery and the gun possession.
I don't even know where to start. This man is mentally ill. I'm just genuinely confused. Like, what is the point? What's the point of mental health? What's the point of doing evaluations? What's the point of seeing doctors? If they're just going to say, oh, well, he was diagnosed with this, but we don't think he has it anymore. Or even if people are testifying and saying he still is diagnosed with this. This isn't something that just goes away. He's been a paranoid schizophrenic for majority of his life. And they're like, fuck all that. We're sending him to the chamber.
And not just the judge, the jury. Are the ones who are recommending death.
Right.
Like even for Buford White, which was his accomplice in the Carroll City murder, he was convicted of his charges too, of the 6 murders. The jury recommended a life sentence. The judge, however, said no, death.
Wow.
So in that case, you know, they saw that Buford White, maybe they wanted to have some type of empathy or mercy on him. But when it came to John, someone who was actually severely affected in the brain by maybe a gunshot to the head and mental illnesses before that had even occurred. And they're like, no, these crimes are too disgusting. You do not deserve to live.
That is crazy. And I understand why the jury would feel that way. It's hard to think that someone that's mentally ill could do something so crazy and just, you know, evil and horrible. like taking people's lives and stuff. So they're like, well, he can't be that mentally ill if he can escape the hospital and do this, that, and the third. So I understand, but at the same time, it's like, what is the point of, you know, protecting, I don't know, mentally ill people if they can't protect themselves?
Exactly.
Damn sure can't protect other people. They're fucking hurting them.
What is the point of court psychiatrists taking time out of their freaking day to come and say, yo, this dude is mentally insane? Period.
Yeah, the system failed completely. And this is Florida in 1970. They had a lot of other stuff going on. Let's just say that.
Mind you, they're a hot mess now.
It was cocaine. They had a lot of cocaine coming.
Back then, the governor was Rick Scott.
No, it wasn't. You
yes,
fucking
it was.
bitch. Kristin, Rick Scott, Kristin, on my mama. Kristin,
Kayla,
tell
look
me
it
right
up.
now, Rick Scott was fucking governor in 1978 and he is still governor right the fuck now.
Rick Scott was the one who signed John Ferguson's death warrant and the death warrant of all of those people who received the death penalty back then. Tell me
Kristin,
about
I'm
it.
having
Florida
a panic
is
attack.
messed up.
Kristin, I'm having a panic attack.
Calm down. Okay.
Kristin, this is impossible. Kristin, this is impossible.
Ain't this
Kristin,
a
how old is he?
mess? At this point, John is now sentenced and convicted for both trials.
Okay, great.
I don't know when he was sentenced and convicted for the Lover's Lane trial where he actually shot the two teenagers, but they were alive. I don't know when that happened.
Right.
Couldn't find much on that at all.
Okay.
But now
he was held
Yes.
responsible.
It
for
said that he was held responsible for that crime.
Okay.
Now, starting in 1982 is when the appeals started to be filed on Ferguson's behalf.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyers filed 3 direct appeals, 2 motions to appeal, a petition for writ of habeas corpus appeal, a petition for writ of certiorari, and clemency.
Oh,
I want to give a quick definition.
clemency. Oh,
Right. That part.
okay.
They're efficient. I want to give a definition for the petition for writ of habeas corpus. That basically means they want to release a person that they feel was unlawfully detained or imprisoned.
Mm-hmm. Which I understand. They feel like he should be in a hospital instead of being put to death.
Exactly. A petition for writ of certiorari.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, who knows?
We've mentioned that before, and I pronounced it just as horribly as you. So.
Thank you. So we're in this boat together. That basically means to request the Supreme Court to order a lower court to send up the records of the case that they are looking at for review. So basically, they want the Supreme Court to take a look at the case and see if the conviction that was handed down was actually viable or correct.
Well, okay. Yeah, and that's fair. That's extremely fair because that judge seemed like they had an agenda.
But wait till you hear this.
Oh, fuck.
So much took place during all of these appeals. We're not going to go through all of that. If you want more detail, feel free to check out the PDF that Kayla, can we upload on Black True Crime?
I'm not going to upload the PDF, but I will give a link to it for sure.
You'll give a link to the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to focus on the appeals that mainly dealt with whether Ferguson was competent to stand trial or to receive the convictions that he did.
Thank you, because I have huge questions about how the fuck this was even allowed to continue.
We're going to get to it. And you still may have questions after.
I probably will.
At this point, Ferguson was convicted and sentenced to eight death sentences and other smaller sentences.
Good God.
His first appeal was submitted on behalf of him and his mother, Dorothy Ferguson, and she acted as a next friend.
Okay.
They filed a motion for
means.
Basically, I don't know, I guess for some reason, someone has to be with you on an appeal, like someone acting as
because he can't. Yeah. Okay.
So they filed a motion for post-conviction relief pursuant to Rule 3.85 of the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. And they proposed 6 claims. The claims basically highlighted the trial's counsel failure to investigate evidence with respect to statutory mitigating factors, which basically means Ferguson believed his lawyers did not factor any of the facts or circumstances that would lessen the severity of the criminal act, like saying he was mentally impaired or he was an addict or things like that.
Absolutely. I didn't even hear one thing really from his defense team trying to actually, say, hello, this is his record.
Right.
Like, I think they did have some doctors testify, but it was like some surface level bullshit, I think.
Well, the thing is, trial 1, I didn't hear nothing about no insanity. Trial 2 is where you hear them actually pleading with the jury that, hey, our whole defense is based on the fact that this guy is mentally impaired and he deserves an insanity plea.
Yeah.
So, but apparently they didn't do that well enough. And it's so funny because Ferguson put in this claim, but I believe that his lawyers in the trial were also his appeal lawyers. Okay. So they were kind of calling themselves out by saying, yo, we're going to, even if we put ourselves on the chopping block, we're going to try to get him off. So this is an appeal that we're going to put, even if it makes us look bad. So they really believe like he deserves to come off. Like he deserves to get an insanity plea.
I agree. Because sometimes you just drop the ball. You may not have all the information at hand that you'd need and blah, blah, blah.
And it was said that they didn't, Kayla. Good, observation. It actually said, I read in that PDF, that there were mitigating factors that they did not know at the time of the trial, which was the fact that Ferguson grew up in extreme poverty, that he had previous mental issues, which I don't know how they didn't know. But these are things that they were claiming that they didn't know during this trial.
It's 1978.
I guess people don't have a database where they just put a name in and see, oh, that person went to a mental hospital. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Things are definitely heavy on the paper side of things back then.
After filing the appeal, Ferguson's lawyers would move to stay the proceedings on the grounds that he was incompetent to participate in those proceedings. This method of appeal and then stay the proceeding would become a pattern in Ferguson's legal battles. But the circuit courts and the Supreme Court were not having it. The U.S. 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in May rejected his appeal, amongst many other rejections.
Does it surprise you?
No. Ruling that Ferguson was actually mentally competent. This is what one of the judges said. That most people would characterize Ferguson's Prince of God belief in the vernacular as crazy does not mean that someone who holds that belief is not competent to be executed.
Okay.
So they're basically saying, yeah, he has a mental history.
Whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
He thinks he's a Prince of God.
But they're saying that basically the only thing that makes him mentally ill is the fact that he thinks that he's Prince of God. If that is the full statement and that's the only thing that they are addressing among all the other issues that he's had documented,
load of crap. But we're not going to assume that that's the only thing they're addressing.
Great.
That was the one quote that I found in the affidavit. But they were also mentioning a lot of Supreme Court rulings in the past of how, well, this was the precedent that was set. He doesn't meet that precedent. Therefore, we reject your ruling.
Okay. Oh, Lord. I just think they really chose what they wanted to do with this one. It was like, oh, this is what the law says. What he did was so horrible and heinous, and I don't want to take away from that. But also, what the fuck is the point of having things in place to, like I said, what is the point of having laws if you're not going to follow them? If your job is literally to enforce them. I just don't get it.
It made me think, because I couldn't find this, but did Ferguson speak on his own behalf? Did he say something in the courts? Was he speaking to people where when they were talking to him, they felt like he was mentally competent? Because it's how are you negating the court psychiatrist, the mental professionals, his past history? There has to be something in front of you that says, no, he seems competent to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, mental illness looks different in all different situations. It's different for everybody. So he could be completely literate and able to communicate effectively, but turn on a dime and be talking to the wall. You know what I'm saying? Or having voices in his head or whatever. So I don't know.
I just want to know, what was their reasoning other than the fact that these crimes are so heinous? We don't care if he was mental or not. Like, we're putting
Probably
him in a chair.
based on how he looked and based on the crimes. That's why I think those are the two easy things. Because if you look at him, you're like, oh, he's big and like he's fine. He can take it. And he was competent enough to do all this horrible shit. So you can't tell me that he can't take responsibility for it legally.
And in fact, both Marvin Francois and John Ferguson, separately, of course, they put in appeals regarding race and discriminatory factors. Marvin felt like the jury were set to be against him because of racial things that were going on back then.
Okay.
John said something similar. Both were rejected.
Not surprising.
After 31 years of legal back and forth, John Ferguson's execution date was reset to be August 5th, 2013. This is 10 months after his original date of execution.
Okay.
So even though there was so much back and forth, they still decided, we are going to uphold the death sentences. And yeah.
Wow.
So, hot mess.
At the very least, they could have given him life. You know what I'm saying? Just to show that, okay, we see that he does have a mental illness and he may not have had complete control over every single one of his actions. However, he has to pay for some of this in some way.
It was insane. Like, I had never seen so many appeals put in before in my life. Like, I don't do a lot of research, but like,
no, you don't.
Like 12 pages, 13 pages of the affidavit were solely appeals. Solely them putting in appeal after appeal, motion to appeal the decision that was already made, and then another appeal. So it was just like, these lawyers, I don't know what they were getting paid, but they tried with everything in their might to get this man at least on life or at least an insanity plea. But
well, that's how all your legal defenses should be, especially when you're facing death.
Right. His accomplices, Marvin Francois, who was 39 at the time, was executed May 29th, 1985.
Wow.
His co-defendant, Buford White, was executed August 28th, 1987. Adolphus Archie, who drove the car used to drop off...
Adolphus Archie?
Okay, don't be disrespectful. Who drove the car used to drop off and pick up the shooters, he pled guilty to second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment.
Wow, just for driving away.
Just for driving. Apparently, his claim was, yeah, we had arms, we were armed, we had guns, but I didn't know they were going to shoot anybody. So,
boy, bye.
I didn't know they were going to kill anybody. They could have shot somebody, like, but not to kill them.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
I don't have time for you. Okay, so at the time of John Ferguson's execution, it came less than 2 hours after his lawyers tried to put in one last hoorah.
Yeah.
Which the U.S. Supreme Court denied.
Of course.
Ferguson lawyers criticized the Supreme Court for sentencing a man to death who they believe is incompetent. This is what one of the lawyers said. He has a fixed delusion that he is the Prince of God who cannot be killed and will rise up after his execution to fight alongside Jesus and save America from a communist plot. He has no rational understanding of the reason for his execution or the effect of the death penalty will have upon him.
Wow. Well, that type of stuff is so difficult and to prove, to even get into. So to have death involved in something like that, I feel like is extremely extreme when we're talking about mentally ill people. He was definitely failed. And even the psychiatrist that did the tests on him and evaluations, they could have deemed him incompetent. I don't think it's the court's job to do that necessarily. It's people that are qualified to know if this man is, incompetent or not. So I just don't really know how the fuck that somebody dropped the ball so much on that.
And honestly, it was his defense too. Like, maybe that's why they were trying to pick the ball right back up in the appeals, because during the trial, your job is it's not the prosecution's job to say whether a person is competent or not. It's your job to convince everybody that he is incompetent. And you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Despite all the long list of evidence that you had to show that he wasn't competent, somehow it didn't matter.
Yeah, you still fucked it. Shit the bed.
So before the execution, Ferguson chose to eat the standard inmate meal, a meat patty with white bread, steamed tomatoes, potato salad, diced carrots, and iced tea.
Wow.
Nothing different for him.
Give me my usual before I kick the bucket.
I'll be back.
Oh my God, yeah. He was like, this is any other day. Why would I expect anything different?
He met
Holy cow.
I know. He met with his 2 attorneys and a spiritual advisor. And one of the things that he mumbled while he was in the chair was, "I just want everyone to know that I am the Prince of God, and I will rise again." Then at 6:01, there were lethal drugs that were pumped into his veins, and John Ferguson died. At the time of the execution, 36 people were protesting across the street. Michael Worley, who was 17 years old when Belinda Worley was raped and shot to death, he said he believed that Ferguson's insanity was fabricated and coached, even until the end. He said, "Thank goodness justice finally prevailed and he was finally executed. I think he got off easy compared to what he did to the victims."
Wow. So I felt like he got over on the system.
Yeah,
and
and he did. To be honest, like all the escaping and evading, that part he completely got over.
I need more details, man. That was wild. I don't know who has been able to do what he's done. Oh, jeez Louise. This is the longest episode we've ever done.
I'm literally about to say one more thing. Just wanted to say the last thing, that John Ferguson was one of the state's longest serving death row inmates. He served 35 years on death row.
Wow.
And that's the end of our crazy, almost sounds like a lie case.
Just
period.
Almost fabricated because it's so insane.
And if you want to read more, we are going to upload the sources that I found all of this information from. Kayla says she'll put a link.
Yes, I will. You just have to go to blacktruecrime.com/blog and you'll find it there. But holy cannoli, like, how did you even find this crazy ass case? I mean, the things that he did were so horrible. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if I feel happy that he was held responsible legally, or do I feel like he was supposed to be at a hospital? Because personally, I feel like if you're mentally sick, you should be locked out in a hospital. I feel like the justice system failed him when they didn't go chase his ass down after he escaped.
Period.
It was like, how long? It was like months he was out before he even got arrested on some bullshit.
Absolutely. And I honestly feel like the justice system failed him every step along the way. They failed him when he escaped. Nobody cared enough to go find him. They failed him when he committed the Carroll City murders and then had months still out in the public where they didn't even have him. They didn't catch him. I don't know if they were even looking. It didn't show me that.
Yeah.
But they were proceeding to indict him on charges.
Right.
And then they failed him during the trial.
It's just bad. It's just all around bad. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
It begs the question for the last thing. Do you have more empathy for someone who is mentally impaired, who got shot in the head, and that may have affected the way he thinks? Do you have more empathy even though he's committed a horrible crime?
Well, absolutely. Because we've already seen that it's been proven that certain parts of your brain, if it experiences extreme trauma, can completely change your personality, your decision making, all that type of stuff. He may not have been a murderer before he was shot in the head, but he definitely was a criminal. So to me, he was going to keep robbing and doing all that stuff, even if he didn't get shot in the head. So do I have more empathy for him? Not necessarily, because he was still a criminal.
Right.
But was he also diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia? Yes. So he was mentally ill. Hello.
So what do you do?
And I just don't think the situation was handled correctly. I just think someone needs to write a manual that is used universally on how to deal with situations like this, because It's too much. It's too much.
Ooh, child. This was a hard one.
Well, thank you for that crazy case, Kristin.
Thank you for bearing with me on that crazy case.
Yeah, it took a lot out of me. I can't lie. So I need to pick me up. And how about that surprise? Why don't we give it to them?
Oh my God, please.
Yes,
Please.
let's. So you guys have been faithfully fucking with us for a minute now.
And we are so grateful that we wanted to do something real special.
Something we've never done before and we feel like you guys deserve.
We'd like to introduce
our first ever live show. We are having our first ever live show on Saturday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
CST, baby. And if you're in the LA area or you plan to be,
you can join us in person.
And if you can't make it this time, don't worry. You can still live stream the entire event.
Every in-person ticket comes with a full meal, drinks, and yes, you know what type of drinks I'm talking about, and a goodie bag to go. Everyone that buys a ticket will get a free month of all access Patreon tier, which means you get access to everything we offer on Patreon for a full month.
And every live stream ticket comes with a free month of the next level Patreon tier, which is a tier right below the all access.
So go to momenthouse.com/blacktruecrimepodcast or blacktruecrime.com or visit the link in our social media bios to buy your tickets.
You'll not only be able to buy your tickets, but you can also buy merch at a crazy discount, you guys.
I know, right? We have t-shirts going for like $10. You can even add a special shout out to someone you love that we'll do on air live. We're just really, really excited, okay?
I'm so excited.
Can you tell?
So will we see you at our live show?
Tickets available now. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's our
Are you guys
live
excited?
show. Our first live show. We are so excited, bro. Are you kidding? We're gonna have so much stuff, like, and we're gonna feed you. And when we say feed you, we're not giving you like no, hanky panky, ranky danky appetizers. We're giving you full blown meal. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have access to liquor. Let's be real, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be an amazing experience. We're also giving away a free in-person ticket. And we're giving away 5 live streaming tickets. So all you have to do is write a review of Black True Crime on either Apple Podcasts, I think Google Play does them, and even Facebook. You can do it on there too. Send us a screenshot on Instagram and you'll be entered. And we're going to make decisions on... We're going to decide who wins on October 5th, which is a Tuesday. So make sure you go ahead and get your reviews up and your screenshots over to us expeditiously.
Period.
We love you guys so much. And if you have any questions regarding the live show or anything, just message us on Instagram. I'm always checking and talking to you guys.
Right.
And yeah, so that's what we're going to close with.
Yes. And if you have any more information about this case, please DM us as well. It was a hot mess and I feel like there was a lot of holes that could have been filled in. So if you have anything to fill it in with, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Remember, always be safe, protect your peace, and protect your space. So we don't have to cover your case.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Judgment.